G'day and welcome to the show.
Well, we're all packed up after our first night of camping on Corroboree Beach, and we can't wait to show you more of Fraser Island.
It's all thanks to our good mates and partners at Lotus Caravans and Dave from the Australian Off-Road Academy. He's going to get us everywhere in style and safely.
So stick around because we might even encounter some dingoes as we show you
What's up Down Under.
It's time to see this land of wonder. It's time to go and see what's up down under. What's up down under.
In this final part of our journey, we've already travelled from Brisbane to the lovely township of Mapleton before taking our Lotus Caravans over to the Sunshine Coast, where we settled into the beautiful town of Noosa.
From Noosa, we headed further north to Hervey Bay, which is a destination all its own, and then crossed the Great Sandy Straits to Fraser Island so we can put the Lotus Caravans off-grids to the test.
Along with the off-grids, we've also been towing the all-new tarmac, built tough and designed for the Australian highway.
Today, we've packed up our campsite and we're travelling up the beach where we'll eventually end up at Cathedrals for the night.
Cruising along the sand. This beach is not just a highway. I mean, you see trucks coming up and down, four-wheel drives, all sorts of vehicles. You see backpackers, families fishing, you name it. There's just everyone driving up and down this sandy beach, and it stretches on for miles.
And it's just like the biggest freeway in the world. There's not a white line on it. You can drive on whatever side you want. You can look at what you want, and it's just completely and utterly relaxing.
One of our guests on this trip just happens to be Dave Darmody from the Australian Off-Road Academy. And on another beach drive, he shared some important tips on driving and towing your caravan on the beaches of Fraser Island.
We like to say that there's no driving environment more dynamic than the beach. Small things change on the beach on any given day. You know, we could have come up here yesterday in the beach. In fact, this part of the beach yesterday was quite scalloped, whereas this morning we're doing speed limit 80 k's an hour and it's smooth as. I guess the top tip for the beach is just you've got to take it as it comes. You can't make assumptions on what it's going to be like. Vans and trailers, you really have to be even just that much more prepared, better planned. You really do need to look at the tyres. If we're towing the big vans along, it's not necessarily just a matter of stay right down near the water's edge. We actually have to be scanning for what's the smoothest option. We don't want to have the vans bucking around.
Caravanning is a social thing, and knowing the etiquette of driving on the beach goes a long way.
So there's a car coming towards us now. All we did was indicate our intention. So it was my intention to move over and stay on the left-hand side and away. They indicated that they were staying on their left-hand side. Then there's no confusion. Both cars will just pass each other happily. It becomes significant if, for example, I might have been turning into a campsite. So if I had intended to go right, then that oncoming car would be able to acknowledge that I'm about to turn off across the face of them.
As Air Fraser Island also uses the beach to land planes, you do need to be aware of where and when they're set up and what to do if you come across one.
When those landing strips are active, there'll be a series of orange witches' hats or cones. So if you see the cones, just stay out of that zone. And once you do spot the cones, it certainly doesn't hurt to be a little bit more active in your scanning. So instead of just scanning the beach, maybe scanning the sky also.
On our way to Cathedrals, we chose a popular spot to stop and make ourselves some lunch. One of the highlights of Corroboree Beach is Eli Creek. Now, during the day, it's a real congregation area. It's a beautiful, clean, crystal clear creek that runs out onto the beach into the ocean. Everyone just seems to congregate around there and have a meal, play a bit of volleyball. There's just a mix of people and they all stop there and have some lunch, go for a walk up the creek, float their way back down. It's just a magnificent little part of Australia and it's well worth the look.
What's up, Downunder? North of our lunch stop is Cathedrals on Fraser, the only privately owned camping ground on Fraser Island, and our next destination for the Lotus Caravans. Cathedrals on Fraser is fully fenced, keeping out the dingoes who live wild here on the island. One reason just to visit is the shop and general store. It's the most extensive range of beauty products on Fraser Island. This shop is very well stocked with all sorts of essentials and maybe just the pair of sunnies you've been searching for.
There you go.
Frothy cappuccinos, a wall of chocolate, plus full meals from the kitchen that boasts the best chips on the island. I sat down with Vanessa, who manages the park for owner Kathy Whitaker, and found out what else they have to offer and why they're so popular. Now, here at Cathedrals on Fraser, what sort of features does your park have?
We have camp kitchens available for all the campers. Our powered sites supply power and water. Obviously it's sectioned out between 4 sites. The unpowered sites only have water sectioned out between 4 sites. Our family tents are perfect. They have 12-volt lighting in them with 4 beds. You can have them made up with linen and they just look beautiful when you arrive. The cabins are always done, cleaned, perfect. They're self-catering, 3 with bathrooms and then 5 without. But we have the amenities blocked straight across the way with showers and hot showers.
Now, we bought our Lotus Caravans here to stay. Do
Yeah.
many people come through with caravans?
Yeah, it's getting more and more popular. Some people think that they can't, but they can.
Guests have private access to the Corrigan Sandblow, which is behind the campground. Vanessa took me there and explained the history of the traditional owners, the Butchulla people, and showed me some artefacts found at this very site. I heard that Kathy has sort of a 200-year history spanning back to the original people, the Butchulla tribe of Gurry,
Yeah.
Fraser Island. And I know we've got some Indigenous tools here.
Yeah.
What are these and how are they used as tools?
Well, the Aboriginals used to use some of them for inscribing their names or just for killing or just for whatever it was to survive.
Wow. So they're kind of like
Some of them.
knives.
Yeah.
You can also find fulgurites. These rods form when lightning strikes the sand, liquefying it. They're absolutely beautiful. Who'd have thought that lightning could turn sand into a tube like this? It's literally liquid lightning. Well, thanks, Vanessa. It's been wonderful to chat to you. And if you'd like to come and stay at Cathedrals on Fraser, make sure you book early because it does get busy. And I'm going to keep playing with these fulgurites. Thank you for the chat. Coming up after the break, we learn all about the equipment needed to do a trip just like ours.
And Ali gets behind the wheel with Dave from the Australian Off-Road Academy and gets all the pointers.
What's up, down under?
Dave, we've started exploring now on the island and clearly the driving conditions are vastly different to what you'd find on the highway. What sort of gear should we bring with us to make sure we don't get into any strife?
So we like to suggest to all of our guests and all of our visitors that they be self-sufficient with what they're going to do. For this trip, yeah, there was a bit more involved because we've got the vans and the vans are going to add a level of complexity to it. So we've brought along obviously a variety of different straps that we're going to be able to use between car and car and car and van, but also other straps that we could use to put around trees so we can use our winches, okay, should we need to. We've brought along safety blankets to make it safer for our spectators and for the crew and for everyone else involved in the team. And obviously our most important feature sits proudly up on the roof of all of our cars, and that's our MaxTrax. So if we can use MaxTrax in a recovery situation, then we don't need any of this gear and we just drive ourselves out.
How do you use all of this stuff together?
This gear is dealing with a lot of energy being released in a short period of time, and sadly when people don't treat it with respect, bad things can happen. People really do need to get a grasp of how it works in their car, because we've had 4 very different cars involved in this trip and they all attach in slightly different ways. But generally speaking, what we're aiming for is the lowest energy use possible. So again, MaxTrax first, and possibly the use of a winch rather than the explosive recovery, if you like, of a snatch strap.
And this is all stuff that you teach at the Australian Off-Road Academy?
Oh, for sure. This, you know, our basic course includes the use of snatch straps and MaxTrax. People come back and see us for multiple day courses and we get into the use of winching.
If you check out Dave's website, you'll find all the details on how you can organise getting Dave as a part of your party and learning what we're about to learn.
And if you haven't noticed, we're towing some great Lotus Caravans on our journey through southeast Queensland, and here's Macca to show you all about the off-grid.
NASA named the space shuttle because it's a shuttle that goes into space. The boys and girls at Lotus Caravans named the off-grid because it's there to take you off the grid. Well, you didn't come out into the great outdoors to sit inside, so the guys at Lotus Caravans have bought everything you need out here where you want to use it. You got your kitchen, got storage. Now, in that storage space, you can actually put a second fridge. And me, I'm a big fan of the beer fridge. I'd probably put one in there. Your entertainment system complete with a television because, after all, even though you're in the bush, you still want to watch the footy, don't you? Up the front here, you'll be rocking out with an off-road coupling backed up with a handbrake. You've got a stone guard here that's going to stop any damage to the back of your vehicle. Couple of gas bottles to run your barbecue and everything else you need to be comfortable. And a toolbox big enough for you to carry everything you're going to need while you're off the grid. Out the back here, you'll find a couple of jerry can holders, a spare wheel, all mounted on a solid bumper bar. You can get an optional firewood box that mounts in behind that, which I reckon's dead handy. You've got an LED light up there, so if you need to access any of this after dark, plenty of light to do so. And behind that, you've got an outdoor shower, so you can rinse off the sand before you go inside, or if you're a bit of a naturalist, get outside in the great outdoors and get clean. Once again, the team at Lotus Caravans have thought about everything that you might need off the road. We've even got a 12-volt power outlet right next to the wheel so you can plug in your portable compressor to pump your tyres back up. Storage here is a tunnel boot, giving you access from both sides. Keep all your gear in here instead of keeping it inside. Speaking of inside, let's go and check that out. When it's time to tuck yourself up inside, you'll find everything you need in there as well. Italian leather lounge, queen-size bed, cooker, fridge, air conditioning, full-size ensuite, and plenty of storage. The Lotus Caravans off-grid. Off-grid by name and off-grid by nature. If there's anything else you want to know about the off-grid, go to lotuscaravans.com.au.
Now, if you've been thinking about coming to Fraser Island, but you've hesitated because you're not sure how to handle the terrain over here, never fear, Dave from the Australian Off-Road Academy is here to teach us exactly how to handle it. I was really lucky to have a lesson from Dave, and he taught me all about four-wheel driving. Really got out of my comfort zone. There were a few times there on the track with Dave that I really wanted to not do what he was instructing me to do. So just proceed with caution.
There's nothing wrong with using the brakes. If you're really going too fast, just use the brakes.
The Australian Off-Road Academy have their own training track, which combine the toughest conditions and controlled learning environment.
So now that wheel's off the ground.
Oh my goodness! I did it!
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, that was awesome. That was a great lesson, and if you want to find out how to book a course at the Australian Off-Road Academy, just go to australianoffroadacademy.com.au. Now, I certainly feel like I've had a win, and if you want to have a win too, check out how you can win this brand new Nova Bravo from Nova Caravans.
We all know that life's luxuries never end at Nova Caravans, and that, my friends, is not going to change. But I'll tell you what could change shortly is your luck, because your mates at Nova have decided to give away a Bravo Caravan worth over $59,000. Inside the Bravo, you're going to discover a queen-size bed, full ensuite, single-piece roof, single-piece floor, and all the bells and whistles that you could possibly need to get out and enjoy yourself. So get online and enter at whatsupdownunder.com.au. Now, you can only enter once a day, but you can enter every day. So get busy and get on it. Stick around, because after the break, we'll point out the do's and don'ts of what to do if you come across a dingo on Fraser Island.
Plus, Macca heads inland and takes a dip at the beautiful Lake Mackenzie.
Today's episode was made possible by our partners at Lotus Caravans. To see the entire Lotus Caravans range, just go to lotuscaravans.com.au.
Fraser Island is a wonderful place to observe wildlife and home to the purest breed of dingo in Australia due to the lack of crossbreeding with domestic animals. Conserving and protecting this species is very important, so whilst they are beautiful, they are best viewed from a distance in order for them to retain a natural way of life. The dingoes are wild animals, and you should observe the warning signs posted around the island. At Cathedrals on Fraser, they have fencing to keep out the dingoes, so the goannas are free to roam without their natural predator. It's recommended not to feed them, they can bite, and again, they are best viewed at a distance. The same can sometimes be said about Macca, who paid a visit to one of the iconic spots here on Fraser Island.
No trip to Fraser Island is ever going to be complete without a visit to Lake Mackenzie. Come on, let's go and dip our toes in paradise. Years ago, you used to be able to camp there. You can't do that anymore, but that was where we used to base ourselves because it was so central to everything. And it's changed a little in how you interact around the lake, but the lake itself still looks exactly the same, and I mean exactly the same as what it did 30 years ago. The same trees in the same places. The sand is just the finest. It's the closest you'll find to talcum powder, I reckon, that white sand at Lake Mackenzie, and you've got this beautiful clear area to swim in. It's just an amazing place to go and take a dip. And even if it's too cold to have a swim when you're there, you've got to go and just sit on the beach because it's just one of those places. New man. Stick around because after the break, Ali and I are going to check out some upmarket options right here on Fraser Island.
It's up, down, under.
Win an Armour XD walk-up camper from Armadillo Campers valued up to $35,940. To enter, subscribe to the What's Up Down Under Travel Saver card for 12 months and receive one competition entry, plus our bi-monthly magazine and bonus DVDs. Thousands of discounts on holiday parks, tours, attractions. Subscribe for 2 years and receive 2 bonus entries. To find out more, just log on to whatsupdownunder.com.au/armadillo. If you're purchasing a new caravan, then look for the RV Map manufacturer's key and you could win a Mitzi Triton. It's that easy. The RV Map manufacturer's key is a symbol of the manufacturer's commitment to build and supply product to all relevant Australian design rules, regulations and Australian standards. See your nearest dealer and you could be a winner. For more information on the RV Map manufacturer's key and your chance to win a Mitzi Triton, just go to letsgocaravanandcamping.com.au and follow the prompts.
Australia's best value classifieds is caravancampingclassifieds.com.au, the best place to buy, sell and get the latest news and reviews.
After camping on the beach and staying in the Lotus Caravans, we decided to 4x4 over to the west side of the island to explore some upmarket options Fraser Island has to offer. This gave me a chance to practice some of the four-wheel driving lessons Dave gave me, and I did pretty good if I do say so myself. We arrived at Kingfisher Bay Resort and immediately noticed how well they've merged the facilities with the surrounding nature. Mangroves with various ponds separate the beach from this amazing structure. Our mate Dave took us on a walk through the mangroves and I soon became aware of how long I've been off the grid.
So when this area, it's a light.
Oh. Not just a garden, there are plants of significance which Dave pointed out to us. So Dave has just explained to us that this is a native plant that actually acts as an insect repellent, and what the Indigenous people used to do, the Butchita tribe, they would crush this up in their hands, put a little spit in it, and it would act as a natural insect repellent. Cool. It actually smells like a boy's cologne. It's not bad. The resort's main structure is simply a work of art and continues the relaxing theme of the natural beauty that seeps in from the grounds. Depending on your tastes, there are several restaurants to choose from, or a quick snack can be found at the kiosk. Of course, there's a selection of bars, and if you really want some pampering, a day spa to relax the nerves from a day or two of four-wheel driving. As everything else, the pool looks as if it's part of nature and the perfect place to cool off on a hot day. Opposite the mangroves is Kingfisher Bay, where you can hire watercraft or dangle a rod from the jetty. Look, I think Fraser Island is something that everybody should see, and it's interesting that a lot of Australians will head overseas for their holidays. I would encourage everyone to come and have a look at Fraser Island.
Fraser Island, for me, has just always been one of those places. It's probably a bit of a special place for me. It's where I cut my teeth four-wheel driving, you know. When I was 17, 18 years old, my mates and I almost lived here. And there's still a thing in it for me. When my wheels hit that deck of the barge, you sort of start to take it out with breath, and by the time they touch the sand on the other side, you're just locked into it, and it's a freedom thing's the best way to describe it, I think. You come over here and it's almost like your worries just fall out. It's impossible to be stressed on Fraser Island.
Having never done this sort of thing before, I now feel really confident that I could do it, and if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode, folks.
And it's also the end of our journey through southeast Queensland.
None of which could have been possible without our mates and partners at Lotus Caravans.
And we'd like to say a special thanks to our friend Dave at the Australian Off-Road Academy for showing us how to get around Fraser Island in safety and in style.
We'll be back again next time, and we promise you we're going to show you more of
What's Up Down Under?
What's up down under?